Wanda Sykes, we have questions, and I need answers. Welcome back to another episode, the 29th episode of the Dish Show podcast. This podcast, I want to dare you to see things through a different point of view, a different perspective. My perspective. Let me just get started because I have something I need to ask. Wanda Sykes, where you at, girl? Because I have questions. Okay, so I was doing some research last night. Not even research. I was watching this interview with Clay Kane, Craig Seymour, and another guy. They were talking about Phyllis Hyman, right? And Phyllis Hyman, she was like a... She was a singer. She committed suicide in like 94, 95, I think. And there were the other guy was like he like a music producer. He was like a young music producer that kind of like they became very good friends and yada yada yada. So he was talking about David Hall. He was talking about people that he's worked with, and one of the guys that were prominent producers back then, and one of the guys is David Hall. Now I think I saw David Hall. He said David Hall wrote most of Mary's, I think, first or second album, and he wrote stuff with Mariah. So I'm like, oh, okay, let me go look and see who this guy is. And so I look and I come across David Hall, and I'm like, David Hall. Okay, he's worked with Mariah, Mary J. I think David was in the Mary J documentary, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But David Hall. So I looked on his Wikipedia and it said married to Wanda Sykes. And I said, dude, what? Wanda Sykes? I didn't know. First of all, I didn't even know Wanda was married, let alone not out all of her life. But it said Wanda came out in like 2008. Wanda is one of my favorite comedians. She's on the show, Keeping Up with the Upshaws? Or the Upshaws, whatever, on Netflix. Wanda really is hilarious. Wanda carries that show. Give Wanda a raise. Mike Epps is okay. Kim Fields is, but Wanda be cracking me the fuck up on that show. So, it says she was married to him from like 91 to like 98. And, David Hall worked with like on Mariah on Dream Lover. Like I said, Mary, I think it was another song he worked with her on. But Wanda, I want to know if Wanda has any like Mariah stories or like any encounters or anything, like, or what is like her music, what has she seen in the music industry? But I was still like shocked. Like I did not know Wanda was married, let alone married to a man back in the day, because she kind of doesn't talk about it, or you kind of don't hear about it. But anyways, Wanda, I have questions. And if somebody's listening that's in contact with Wanda, please ask her. I want to know. Oh my gosh. So I came across this song. I did not know that. Okay, where am I going with this? SWV. Let's talk about SWV. SWV, they have this song called... Okay, so I've been listening to a lot of SWV's music. I think, what's the album called? Release Some Tension. Their third album is probably vocally their best album. Yeah, it's such a diverse vocal moments on that album, from her belting and Can We to her soft and tender, but she was allegedly sick on Rain. And then her like sweet and tender, When You Cry, oh my gosh. And then you have the like soft and cute on Someone featuring Diddy. Like that album vocally is such an amazing album. But their New Beginnings album has this interlude called Where's the Love? I believe that's what the interlude is called. And it's so great. It's such a genius moment because it sets it up for the next song, which is called "Fine Time." And where is the love? She goes, "Where is the love that you gonna?" You pick, and then she goes into like the verse. You picked a fine time to tell me. It's so good. It's so good. It's one of my favorites. But then I did not know "Where Is the Love" is an actual song. Like it sounds like it's an actual song, but you just like played it off because okay, it's a interlude. But "Where Is the Love" is an actual song. So it's a full song. It came out on their like gold and platinum, um, like all their gold or platinum songs were put on this one album. I think like after they, almost right after they broke up, and I did not know it was a full song. So I'm shocked and shout out to them because really that's another really great song. Like each album has like a specific sound and even also I feel like Release Attention is their best album because I feel like the other two albums, like the vocals sound like it's a filter or a muffled on, or it's muffled or something's preventing me to actually hear clearly. And that's in my car, in my earphones. But when I hear Release Attention and songs afterwards, that could be it could be really technology improving. Um, but when I hear Release Attention, those songs are so clear. You can hear everything. It's a really great moment. So I've been listening to "When You Cry" so much, and I realized "When You Cry" it's my favorite song. It's my favorite SWV song. Like I knew about it. No, I didn't pay attention to it so much when I first listened to the album, but when they had their verses, I know they played it then, but I just bypassed it. But then it's like that kind of melody that kind of sticks out. When you cry, boy, I cry. Don't let go. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You can hear Lily. Can you hear Tosh? I don't know. You can definitely hear Lily. You can definitely hear Coco. Lily and Coco, they're blend. Like they have kind of the similar tones. And like when they sing, it's like they're blend. When they sing and they blend together, it's just, oh my gosh, it's incredible. It's incredible because Lily, she's a lower, or at this time, she's a lower on the scale. She's lower, like she's I guess a tenor. She is, and it complements Coco's voice. But When You Cry, so yeah, I've been listening to When You Cry. But when I realized, okay, this like melody is sticking out. Let me go back and revisit it. So I really went back and revisited it, and it is such an incredible song. I love the beat. I love the hard beat against this like soft, beautiful song. This like R&B, this like rap hip hop beat, killing it against this ballad on this ballad. But before that, there was Rain, and I loved Rain. I adored Rain. Rain is really a specific song. It's a specific vocal that Coco had. Like I think, like I said, she was sick when somebody said she was sick when she recorded it. But I was like, okay. It's a specific vocal, and I don't think she's ever re-sung that song the way she recorded it. It's still really good, but like I don't even listen to Rain. I love When You Cry so much. I don't even listen to Rain as much. And I tried to do a poll, and I really want, if you're listening to this, please leave a comment. I'm on Instagram at MYLOVEMYNEEDTONIGHT, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube page. If you're an SWV fan, or if you're not, go listen to Rain and then go listen to When You Cry and tell me which ballad you love the most. Rain charted. When You Cry wasn't a single, but I feel like it should have been a single. They should definitely bring it back. Coco did a live, and I was like asking a million times, or trying to get her attention, like, when you cry or rain, when you cry or rain, when you cry or rain. Like, I really want to know. I made a poll on Twitter, and nobody answered it, so whatever. But I'm picking When You Cry. Tell me if you like When You Cry, or do you like Rain? I'm picking When You Cry. Like I said, I don't even listen to Rain, like I said, with the same enthusiasm, with the same excitement anymore. Because like when you cry, it's just killing the game, killing it. All right, so let's move along. Columbia Records is releasing Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett's joint album, their second jazz album, on the last week of July. I read that somewhere, so can't wait to see that. Where was I in today? Oh, I was at like this. I was at the Outdoor Farmers Market, and they were playing "Cheek to Cheek," the song. I was like, oh, okay, we killing it in here. Where do I want to go next? Where do I want to go next? So where do I want to go? So I just quickly want to say that I wish old TV shows were able to come back up. I don't know why I wrote that lady's name down. I wish old TV shows were able to be re-aired. Like, I know some old TV shows, I think that's because they're in syndication, they're able to come back up. But like, I wish like the BET Awards or MTV, VH1, all those incredible shows, like if they really want, some viewership, they would replay 2005 BET Awards or the 2006 BET Awards or the MTV Awards. Like, play that shit from back in the day. Let us see. I don't know why they don't do that. Why they don't do that? I know like Tyler Perry, he has stuff on like BET Plus. His his plays, like the first like 4 or 5 of his plays were like incredible, even with the music, very entertaining, very funny. His stuff is on BET Plus, but I don't think all of it is, because they made it seem like they all were when BET Plus first came out, I think last year, but they all weren't. I don't know if they are now, but I think Oprah, she used to replay her talk shows at like 1 or 2 in the morning when she had when OWN first started. Oh my gosh, she would replay Rachel Ray's. Oh my God, I love that. My favorite thing as a child was like watching cooking shows, and I definitely wanted to watch cooking shows at night and not just like in the daytime. And when Rachel Ray would be on, or when Netflix carried Everyday Italian, I was just in heaven. I would be like up at like 2 in the morning watching Everyday Italian, just getting my life together. But yeah, Oprah has her stuff on, and she'll upload some of the shows from her talk show days on YouTube. But I'm like, we need y'all to air these again. All these old TV shows, or these old like award shows. I don't get it. I want to know why. I don't get it. But I wish that was able to happen. Oh, because I was thinking like, okay, Wendy Williams, she's going on hiatus. Instead of replaying your like recent shows, why don't you replay, your first episode? Or because those are kind of more entertaining, especially on Wendy's days. Her hot topics these days are just like, okay, girl. And I understand we're in like, a pandemic, things are going on, but like, come on, can we go back and revisit some of the good history, like your first episodes, or some of the Patti episodes, or the Ivanka Trump episode was really good interview. Replay, when you fell. Come on, I know. I don't get it. But we need to look into that. So Patti LaBelle, she had a fantastic week. Patti has been promoting. I think last week I said, oh no, this week she did like an interview. Now, last week I said she was in the Old Spice commercial, and she's been doing promotion for the commercial. Also, Patti has, like I told you a couple of weeks ago, Patti has the 20th anniversary of her first cookbook, La Belle Cuisine, coming out. It's out now, and it has a couple new recipes. It has like more photos with her grandkids and stuff. So she's just been promoting that. She was on the Clay Kane. She was on GMA. Clay Kane. Shout out to Clay Kane. I've watched like 3 or 4 interviews by Patti, and they all ask like the same damn questions, the same boring ass questions, the same questions she's been answering or even telling us since the beginning of her solo career or the beginning of, her cooking expose career. It's so ridiculous. Patti, who started you cooking? Patti, how do you stay so young? Are you ready to get back on tour? Like, okay. But Clay Kane kind of, he went into like the LGBT following. He went into Luther. He talked about Phyllis Hyman. And we got like different answers and fun out of Patti, which I thank God for. Thank God for Clay Kane. And when fans interview a celebrity or whoever they're interviewing, you're definitely going to get more and not the typical questions, which is always a plus. She was on GMA this week. She cooked this chicken recipe. Homegirl got so nervous in like 2.5 seconds. It was just like, Patti, come on. But she looked so good. Her makeup, her hair, and then like she's doing the at-home interviews. The lighting, she just looks amazing. She looks really good. She looks really, really, really good. Shout out to everybody putting Patti together. Also, Patti told us that she has a grandson coming in November 11th. I didn't know Lona, I believe her name was pregnant. Also, her Instagram is locked. So, whatever. But shout out to them. That's really exciting news. Because she said she had like a new cookbook coming. I was like, oh, okay. And then she said she had new music. But she meant the new cookbook was the 20th anniversary re-edition of La Belle Cuisine. Also, Patti's going back on tour in September. So for like excitement to get that out, she released this incredible behind the scenes footage video, like quick clips of like stuff from like 4 years ago up to like I think last year, from when she started her Desserts La Belle cookbook tour. Like, so like, oh my gosh, when you wouldn't think Patti has as much footage as she does. Patti has a lot of footage, and I want to see all the footage. I want to see them. Like, I was like, please send us more clips of her singing, of her on planes, of her in the car, of her backstage, of her singing in concerts. I was just like, oh my gosh, there's actual like HD footage of this shit, and we don't have any of it except for these little clips. I was just like, oh my gosh, my brain is just too much. I just, it's overwhelmed. Please, Zuri, Patti, the Patti estate, please release more video footage of this. It's on her Instagram. Go check it out. It's really good. So she did this interview with Tamar. Tamar, first of all, I wasn't sure this was real because they're just like one of those YouTube like premiere thingies. And none of them kind of promoted it. I didn't see it on either of their Instagrams. So I was like, okay, this is fake. But it turned out to be real. It was 45 minutes long. They talked about food. It was a really good interview. Tamar really made it flow really, really good. I was very shocked, very surprised, but you never know. But a couple things we got out of this interview. Patti and her son, she said back in the day, were trying to manage the Braxton sisters. And I was like, dude, what? You were trying to manage them? Oh my gosh. She's like, yeah, I remember you guys, I cooked for you and your sisters, when we were trying to manage you guys. You came to my house and I cooked. I was like, oh my gosh. That's some shocking information. Also, Tamar brought up that she had been listening to All the Men That I Need. And I'm going to give you some backstory. So, a couple of days ago, Craig Seymour, the one who did like the interview he's a music journalist. He talked about how All the Men That I Need is not his favorite Whitney song. It's very like it's not like real R&B in a way, he was basically saying. And I think a lot of people at that time also agreed with him, but like All the Men That I Need is It went number one on both charts, the R&B charts and the Hot 100. It was a classic in a way. She didn't sing it after the Bodyguard tour, I believe. She stopped singing that, which is funny because it was the number one. But anyways, people didn't like it, and people, although it went number one, I guess, the community didn't like it. They found it fake. They found it whatever. I enjoyed the song, definitely, but I do also enjoy Patti's version. Now, Patti, she did it on her live DVD album. You can go look it up. It's an incredible version. It's like the soulful version. And so Tamar brought that up, like, oh, we wish you would bring that back into the show. And so Patti's like, girl, I was just listening to it too. I was like, dude, what? You were listening to it? She's like, yeah, I was listening to it. And I was just telling somebody, we need to bring that back in the show. So we're going to see on September 16th, 18th, whatever, if she actually does bring it back into the show. We'll see how that goes, because that will be a fucking moment. But like I said, yeah, so Patti was like, yeah, I had to, people didn't like Whitney's version, or people didn't like the way Whitney was singing it. So, I had to come in and give this old grown woman version and how an old grown woman was singing it. And that explains it all. Patti, when you listen to it, you're going to get it. But shout out to Tamar. That was a really good interview. Thank you so much for that interview. So, yeah, I can't believe this was a really good week, a really fun week. I know I was supposed to do a Flame review. Flame still is one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite albums. I'm going to get to it eventually. I guess when I have like a dry week, I'll get to it to sprucing some things up. But this week again, I did the little on the fly, whatever. This week, I talked about Meghan McCain quitting from The View. I finally watched the Mary J. Blige documentary, and I got some thoughts about that. Also, I talked about this YouTuber I watch and her conundrums that she goes through. So, I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to get into some of that. Mary J. Blige. I wonder what Blige means, or where did that name come from? So I just finished Mary J. Blige's documentary. It's been out for like a week. I think by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be like 2 weeks. But what do I think about it? Very interesting. I just want to go down a list of stuff. There was some live recent taped parts, and let me just tell you, Mary looks amazing. Even from the beginning, Mary looked amazing. I've never seen Mary not look amazing. Even when, she looks like she has a lot going on, she still looks decent. She still looks put together, very decent, very meticulous, very, very particular, and very strategically put this piece and that piece together. The Wig Queen, shout out to Rashida, or How to Be a Fucking Lady back in the day on YouTube. I think it's Fuck Rashida now. Tumblr, not YouTube. What the hell was that? Shout out to Rashida, because she made this post and celebrated Mary and all her wigs. Mary's the wig queen, to be honest. Probably the boot queen also. But the fashion really pops off of the concert footage that is played throughout the documentary, and the concert footage is from that joint tour she did with Nas a couple of years ago, where she was thriving with Nas. No, we're not just surviving, we're thriving over here. I just literally learned the words last week because, I love the song, but I never really, paid attention to the lyrics. Well, just that part. That's the only part I really know. And that was from a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2019 they went on that tour. Um, but the fashion really pops. Mary's, really the fashion queen, to be honest. Nobody's really doing fashion like Mary. Um, and that's amazing and incredible on its own. Now, her voice, we all know, Mary isn't, the number one vocalist in the world, but she does have a nice voice, a decent voice, enough to, sell millions of records. I'm going to look something up. And she has a nice voice. Now, the recent, like, concert footage that I've seen, it seems like Mary is lip syncing, and I'm like, I've never known Mary to lip sync ever, so it's kind of weird to watch her do that. Also, I'm noticing like her voice. Ooh, her voice is like, how do I say? Like, I know Mary's getting older, and as you get older, your voice does change, and it's like her voice. I don't know. I guess at that time, I'm hoping it's just like at that time Mary was like tired, or she just needed to like some rest, vocal rest completely. Because concert footage from that time and around that time, like, ooh, her voice does not sound good. Even on that BET Awards, when she got the BET Award, yeah, I think this was 2019. She got the Lifetime Achievement Award. Mary sounded a fucking mess. And I felt like I was the only one in the comments saying, "What the fuck is wrong? Why does she sound like that?" Like I literally felt like I was the only one because everybody else was just like, "Yeah, I love Mary," and I'm like, "Okay, I get it. You love Mary. Mary looks delicious and all that, all white and the blonde, icy blonde hair. She looked amazing, but it's just like she sounded a fucking horrible, like a horrid movie." I was just like, "Oh no." But yeah, that's on her voice. That's all I have to say about her voice. And this is not bashing. I was just like, Mary, I guess she just needed some rest. Hopefully she just needed some rest because that's not cute. So the whole documentary is based, I feel like it was kind of underwhelming in a way. Like I knew Mary was from the hood. Um, One thing that you kind of realize that Mary is like first generational wealth, and Mary is a success story, especially in the terms of like music sales. Like her albums would sell like 3 and 4 million, so that adds up to like quickly a good 20 million by the time you get to your like sixth album. Um, Was she a chart queen? Probably not. I don't think she was a chart queen. I think she, had like mostly like top five and top tens on the R&B charts, etc., etc. So, but but yeah, Mary is a success, and the My Life album, which is her second album, I believe it's the no. At the time of this documentary being taped, I think it was like the 25th anniversary of the My Life album, and I think she did a bunch of songs and went on that tour and did a bunch of songs. But this My Life album was really a what I got from it because I didn't know a whole bunch about Mary. It was like the beginning of the healing process for her, the healing of the drugs, the healing of the drug abuse, the healing of the trauma that she had been through, living in the hood, living in the projects, the healing of the love issues. So much healing in her life that she needed to address, and just like the beginning, just the brink of the healing process. Because I think even to this day, I'm sure she's still trying to work through stuff and heal stuff. But at that time, her life had become so chaotic relationship wise, drug wise, alcohol abuse, just like this new life of from the projects. Now I'm like, I got money and people all in my business, and I'm still guarded and still dealing with trauma and just negativity, dealing with negativity, accepting negativity. That album was really her healing moment, the brink of her healing moment. And also, I didn't know, like, everybody else around her, like some of the producer, it was like a producer she was talking to, even like Diddy. Diddy, side note, Diddy is very annoying. I don't know how anybody can put up with Diddy. Diddy is just, I'm trying to think, when is his birthday? I think he's like a Scorpio or something. I don't know. He's annoying. He's fucking annoying at that. But even like Diddy and like there was another producer, they were like, we were putting these songs, we were putting our experience because we had a connection with each other at this moment. We were putting all these connections together and putting this trauma and this help and this love into the music. And it helped heal everybody or try to heal everybody, started to heal everybody. I'm thinking this is a very cathartic way of expressing yourself and dealing with stuff. Uh, I wonder if Mary is in therapy. That's not what I have a question for. I know Mary had been like really promoting this documentary. Like if you look on YouTube, there's at least like 10 different like interviews, and they're lengthy interviews. I'll probably go back and listen to some of those. And not only did this album heal the people around her and herself, or try to start to heal people around her and herself, but of course it healed the world, the fans. That was like another like big thing about this documentary and Mary's career and life, like her fans, because you don't feel alone when you're going through something because somebody else is sharing their experience, sharing their story. And this, like back in the 90s where, things were rough, terrible, people are growing up. I feel like things kind of are easier today in a way. There's so many like suicide and help prevention lines today, and it's more accessible. I don't know why I said that. Like, I really know. But, like, to me, I feel like it is more accessible today than it probably ever was. And celebrities are a lot more accessible today than they ever were if they choose to be that way. So, this album really helped fans in the world heal because everybody is not alone. And now you have this catalyst, this woman that looks like you, this young woman at the time that looked like you and maybe going through a similar situation or the same, mental health issue. Or I feel like she's speaking for herself, but when, of course, when you make music and you make art, it's subjective, and you could take it and take just a little morsel and find yourself in it, or find whatever you're going through in it and heal yourself through it, which is pretty interesting. That's one thing. Like Mariah, Mariah was it Mariah? I think it was Mariah. She was like, when she did her Genius interview, she was like, I really don't talk about the lyrics to my songs because I want you to interpretate the lyrics in whatever way you interpret it. Don't take for what I'm doing. And I think that's a really moment of how a songwriter is. I think that's a good catalyst to see how a songwriter would be. Don't interpret it my way, because this song is personally for me, but it's really for you in any way that it can help you. And that's really cool. That's really amazing. The animation, there's like this animation thing. I think was one of the reasons why like I felt underwhelmed. Another reason why I did feel underwhelmed is because it's not a documentary on her life. It's a documentary on this period in her life that was so rough for her and that brought her out of the darkness. And that's pretty much it. Maybe because I don't necessarily have a connection to the album or that time period, maybe that's why it's maybe underwhelming for me. But it's still a decent documentary. It's not like a favorite. It's not like, I guess because other documentaries are more like, this is my life story in a way. Like the Tina documentary was incredible, you guys. And there are so many documentaries. The Wendy Williams movie was really good. But I feel like Mary is such an interesting character and she's been through so much. I would rather see it as a movie. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to see you grow up. I want to see you make this album. Different stages of your life making these different albums. One of my favorite albums is the Mary album. Such a creative moment for her, definitely. And then we get into the no drama era, and then we get into the breakthrough era, and then we get into this 2010 era that she's making music, and then we get into now, the divorce and the KC stuff, and the drug stuff, and the crispy chicken fried lettuce stuff from Burger King. So I'm like, I think I'm married. But she said this is all we're gonna get for now because, of course, Mary. Like I said, I think Mary's still healing from stuff, and she probably doesn't want a bunch of her life out there like that. Which is why she was definitely so guarded in the beginning in some of her interviews and stuff, because she was like, it's none of your business." But back to the animation. The animation is okay. I just felt like the animation would have been a little bit it's decent. You get the essence of it's being Mary, definitely. But I don't know. It just seemed like playtime for me. And I'm just like, HBO, this is not, HBO Kids. I want to see a Mary documentary. So that's all I really have to say about the Mary J. Blige My Life documentary. What would I give it? Probably a 3.5 out of 5. Not a 4. Definitely not a 5 out of 5. But I'm sure so many people love this era and love the music. And I know Charlamagne, he was like, he would have loved to see more of what Charlamagne the God from the Breakfast Club, he was like, he would have loved to see more of each song being talked about instead of just all these different emotions that she was going through during making that album. So yeah, but definitely check it out if you would like. It's on Amazon, and you're gonna definitely enjoy the fashion moments. Definitely. I mean, ooh, beautiful. Shout out to Mary J. Blige. So this past week on Thursday, McCain decided to call it quits with The View. Oh my gosh. Okay, I really don't care. Personally, just a couple things I want to say. Personally, I think The View, the format, I think started off with 4 or 5 women. I think The View doesn't need 5 women, especially right now during, if there's still going to be virtual come September when they come back, when all the other shows are pretty much, well, not all the other shows, but most New York based shows are back in order, and they even have an audience. But The View, they don't need an audience. I just want all the women together in the same room talking. Secondly, 5 women is way too many, to be honest. I need everybody to, like, in the same room, be able to give their opinion in one segment and not 3, 4 segments. Like, come on, there's stuff to talk about in the world. There's definitely stuff to talk about all the time with, like, The View. And I don't want to spend all day on one topic. That's another thing. And like when Megan and what's her name? Megan and Sarah Haynes, when she's not there, it was like one day when Megan and Sarah weren't there. It was so peaceful. Everybody got to talk. Whoopi got to talk. Joy got to talk. Anna got to talk. Anna and Joy were cracking jokes. Sunny was talking. It was so pleasant to watch. Oh, side note, I really don't like Sarah Haynes on the show. I'm just like, girl, my regular sister, you gotta go somewhere else for today. I find her very juvenile. Like, she doesn't really know what she's talking about. I'm just like, where do they find her? And then, she's pulling a housewife and she's back again. I think she's the first person to come back again. Yeah. Oh, Joy was the first person to come back again. But Joy is Joy. Joy's been there since the beginning. Sarah. Anyways. So, about Megan leaving, I don't really care so much about Megan leaving, but I don't kind of want her to leave because I personally do enjoy some of the spats, or a lot of the spats that, she goes back and forth. But I'm hearing that The View ratings are down. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, The View had been nominated for an Emmy, some kind of Emmy, outstanding talk show host, whatever, since the beginning in 1997 or 98, one of those. 25 years, The View has been nominated, 24. The View has been nominated for an Emmy, and this year they weren't nominated for anything. And this year, Megan really was acting a fool on The View, and that possibly could have been a reason why. Okay, so I don't care that Megan's leaving because I do enjoy, like I said, I do enjoy the spats, but I believe the ratings are low. I heard the ratings are low, so that could be, Twitter blowing up something may not be. I heard it was a low percentage of Americans that have Twitter. A very, very low percentage. I was just like, what? It was like 12 million or something, 7 or 12 million Americans have Twitter, and I'm just like, wow. Because to me, Twitter is everything. Twitter is popping. Twitter is the girl. Twitter is the reason. She's the season. She's the lifetime. Okay. Like, if Twitter goes away, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Twitter has outstanding Facebook. Twitter has outstanding MySpace. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I'm just saying Twitter's the thing. So, Twitter blowing up something or like one of those little spats is different from people actually watching or not watching the spat or going, to like YouTube, which, doesn't count as a fucking rating. So Megan just decided to leave. She quit? Was she fired and told to quit? I don't know. I don't really care. But okay, the other thing I wanted to say is that there's a podcast called My View, My Opinion by Kay Sherrell, and she talks about The View, and she said a couple of months ago, she was like, well, a while ago now, she was like, Megan, her point of views aren't really her point of views. And like, there's somebody else's point of view trying to tell her how to speak it, and she doesn't come off convincing enough all the time on her her issues with things. And I was just like, oh wow. And she kind of went into like Megan's background. Megan, is only in politics because it's hereditary. It's not anything that she loves to do or wants to really do. I think she even went to school for something different. And so what confirmed that information was when Raven, she was doing promotion for her YouTube channel with her wife, and they were like, do you miss doing The Viewer? Like, do you miss being on like a talk show? And so Raven was like, you know what? I don't. And this is sort of my like new talk show where I can actually be myself, because when I was on a specific talk show, it was producers coming in telling me, this is your point of view, stick to this point of view, and you need to find out reasons why this backs up that certain point of view. And it's like, oh wow, like some of these people, some of these personalities on the shows are told to be a character, and it's so like, oh, very off-putting. And I'm just like, when did that start? Because ain't no way Barbara Walters was telling them this and that. But yeah, I was just like, okay, Raven confirmed what K. Sherrill said, what, sometimes everything everybody sees about Meghan McCain. Meghan was a character on the show, and she had to, well, probably half a character on the show, where she had to give off a point of view that wasn't hers, or that was contrived, and now you have to really back this up. And it's like, ooh wee, that must be stressful. I don't really get stressed, but I'm like, okay, that must be stressful and exhausting. Exhausting. So lastly, I just want to say about Megan, at times I did want her to leave, but at times, because days when she's not there is very peaceful, jokes are being cracked, it's a fun show. Megan really doesn't participate in much of the conversations, like out of political conversations that they have on the show, and it's very annoying. She doesn't talk about sex, she doesn't talk about her marriage, she doesn't talk about this, and then she'll deflect into like something else, and it's just like, okay, we didn't ask you about that, we asked you about this, but you do what you gotta do, sugar, to keep your job. But yeah, Megan was like kind of anti a lot of stuff, and it doesn't help when the show, you're being paid to talk about your opinion. Like, okay, give me the job, bitch, or somebody come and pay me, because this is the easiest shit in the world. Except for don't tell me what to say. But okay, good riddance to Megan. We'll see this exhausting train. Who's coming on the next stop? Honest, they can get rid of Sarah in my opinion. They can get rid of Sarah. Keep Joy, keep Sarah, keep Sunny, keep, the last thing. So, oh God, I was trying to keep this under 10 minutes. Okay, so during Megan's speech, ending, like exit speech, her Brexit speech, she was like, I want to thank blah, 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 and my former, current friend, Sarah. What's her name? Sarah Haynes? Not Sarah Haynes. Abby Huntsville. Abby Hunts, whatever, lady. And was so shocking and so revealing that she said that, because Sarah and Abby were best friends on the show, or when they came to the show. Megan was going through she's having problems having a child. And so at that point, Abby, Fertile Myrtle, kept having kids. And Abby was like talking about her kids a lot. And so I guess like backstage, or like one of, Megan's tyrants moments, she was like, Abby, don't talk about your kids on the show. You know what I'm going through. And so that put a strain on the relationship. And so one of the reasons why Abby left was because of Megan and her tyrant ass attitudes. By the way, do you guys remember that tyrant show on Fox? I mean, FX? Anyways, so it was very shocking that she said, oh, and my, former best friend or current best friend, that's literally what she said, Abby Huntsville, Hunts Ketchup. So I'm just like, wow, you're really out here telling everybody's business. You're really, showing us what's really good, sugar. I'm just like, wow. Also, Megan has had this terrible reputation at the show, trying to get black people fired, trying to get the makeup artist fired, banning Sherry Shepherd on the show. Like, she's such a fucking tyrant. At one point, I believe, what was it? It was like Sunny Hostin. Something was going on with like Megan, and Sunny had to like get her lawyers involved, talking to like ABC. Like, if you don't tell her to stop doing this, we're gonna like press charges or do something. It was serious for a moment. And I'm just like, oh my God, her spats with Joy, her continuous spats with Joy, her disrespect to Joy, calling her fucking old, and y'all need to talk about something else, and oh my goodness. And then, Whoopi, she's literally got it in with everybody. I think except for Sunny. There might be like some video with her and Sunny. I'm gonna go see it right now. But definitely she's like been shady and low-key shady and sometimes high-key shady with Sarah, Whoopi, Joy. She got in with Anna. I don't know. I don't think she's gotten in with Anna. Because Anna will give it to you. Anna, I love me some Anna. Okay, but anyways, I'm going to leave that alone. But shout out to Megan. Good riddance. So, as I stated earlier, Megan left The View. But Sarah Haynes did a little, like, on the fly, those TMZ interviews. First of all, Sarah Haynes, she's, of course, one of the other co-hosts from The View. And she just sounded very rehearsed. Not that, like, the interview I think was rehearsed, but just, like, her in general, she sounded very rehearsed. And she just basically said, Megan is not returning to The View because she doesn't even live in New York anymore. So I was like, oh, okay. But in Megan's speech, that's not necessarily what was coming across in a way. Like, she didn't make that 100% clear. Like, oh, I'm not going to live. She just was like, yeah, I live in D.C. now. Not, it just wasn't clear. So it just was like, okay, yeah, I'm leaving. Thank you guys for having me, blah, 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 blah. But she's leaving because basically she doesn't even live in D.C., in New York anymore. She lives in D.C. So it's like, oh, okay. So that's why she's leaving. Okay, cool. A little thing that's on my mind right now is one of the ladies I watch on YouTube. Should I say her name? Okay, I'm going to say her name. Lady T Sensations. She does like mukbangs, and recently, she's moved fully over into working at home. So it's like day in the life of... She's pretty entertaining, but yeah, she talks about, religion a lot. And it's like, okay, girl. But it's funny because she just broke up with her boyfriend, maybe like a month ago. A couple of weeks ago, she announced it because people were like, where's, your boyfriend? And he doesn't really like to be on camera a lot. And like people were noticing, he hasn't been on camera in a while. But I'm just thinking, I didn't think anything of it because, he doesn't like being on camera. So I'm like, oh, okay, he's just, not around. But he would like, she moved into her house about 2 years ago. And she moved into a new house about 2 years ago. Oh, actually her first house, I believe. Oh, no, probably not her first house. Ooh. So she moved into her house, and he would like come around and clean, cut the grass, power wash. I guess do little. She called it honeydew list type stuff, handyman type stuff. And so after they broke up, she was being very passive aggressive, very shady, and kind of putting stuff on God, which I don't think is like, personally, in my view, I don't think God had really much to do with that. Like, well, the thing was, she was like, I found this little service where like these a couple of guys or a guy will come around and do like handiwork things like once a month, like $25. And I'm like, okay, what does that do with God? Like, you found a service, okay. Um, it's not like you necessarily were hurting for a service or a little handyman to do a job, I don't know. She's just like, God will give you the peace you need. God will give you the things you need. And I'm like, okay, you search for or somehow search for this handyman, or somehow it came to you that they would come and do stuff for you. And she kind of always is flaunting, that she has like no debt except for like the house. And she's like, well, I'm going to pay this off in 15 years. And, her car, I think, she's always talking about the warranty on her stuff and stuff like that. But she's always talking about like how she has no debt. Like, she just bought a house, and well, she didn't just buy the house. She's paying a mortgage, so she's mortgaging the house. But she has like furniture and stuff, and it's like no debt on the furniture, and she's like, thank God. And she always just like kind of like talking about that. And it's just like, okay, we get it. You have a well-paying job, a delicious paying job, along with YouTube. But you have 2 channels. You get like 10, 15K on a eating video, on a low day, on an okay day. People are watching your day in the life vlogs, videos. So it's just like, okay, girl, we get it. You got a good job. You got a, steady income. You're single. Yeah, sure, you help your son out with like possibly bills and stuff. It's just like, girl, I'm not hating. I'm just like, girl, we got it. We get it. You got a good paying ass job. You've been there for like over 25 years or something like that. You're like a manager or something. Like, girl, we get it. We got it. Thanks. Thanks, Miss Lady T. Thanks. It's just weird, her always flaunting and throwing that kind of up. I'm not saying throwing it up in your face, but like always talking about it. Like, oh, jeez. And you're probably like, why do you keep watching her if she's so annoying or weird? I don't think she's annoying. She's very entertaining. She's very entertaining. It's just when she gets into, her talking about nothing, it's just like, okay, girl, I gotta go. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening to the Dare Show podcast. If you have a comment, please leave a comment on the topics. What do you think about Meghan McCain leaving? If you watched the Mary J documentary, what do you think about that? What else did I talk about? Wanda Sykes, get back to me, girl. Meghan McCain, I think that was it. So, thank you for listening. My Instagram is MYLOVEMYNEEDTONIGht. I'm gonna work on getting an intro and an outro. I definitely will. Okay. Shout out to Patti. Thank you so much for giving us all. I might have to pick up that cookbook. We'll see. I don't know. I don't like cookbooks like that. But leave a comment. Thank you so much for listening. And I definitely will be back next week. Bye.